CQ. It just makes it a lot more fun.
KD2KUB here. I wanted to take about 10 to 15 minutes to talk about the need to train and train effectively with your Aries, Races type of groups. That's important to me because here in our county we have an active Aries, we have an active Races membership that I am a part of, that I am part of the leadership of, and we train consistently and on a quarterly basis. We have documentation that we solicit to our amateur radio community. We have weather events that we often monitor, and we use that as training opportunities. So where am I going with this? Well, I came across the various amount of resources and social media posts about, oh, you should be using this equipment, or I use exclusively digi-rigs. I don't use signalinks, and for X and Y reason. I've also come across posts on social media where this person is showing off their ham shack and, oh, this is how this connects to this, and I'm using exclusively this hardware because it was given to me by this company to try and use, and it's all awesome and good. A lot of that exclusivity is going on in this amateur radio community, and that to me could be particularly off-putting on some of us, and especially for me, where I try to embrace the openness of open source and not quite building as much devices, if you will, but utilizing what we need to utilize as amateurs. Just because we use something doesn't mean that there isn't other opportunities to use other things out there. But taking social media advice as a grain of salt is kind of where I'm going with this. That it might be all well and good that it works, but use what works for you and train with it. How many times do we see these social media channels often use this maybe for a few videos, and then they're off doing something else or looking at some other aspect to this? If we're going to be using our tools for amateur radio, not emcomm, but for public service activations, what we should be focusing on is the consistent use of a single set of hardware and modifying it as such to be useful and conducive at a moment's notice. Not constantly adding new stuff to it, but using the same hardware so that you and potentially other amateurs that are used to that type of hardware can resonate with and use it effectively. Now, I see a downfall of that in my own setup because I primarily just use Linux. There's only a very, very small handful of us that I can count on 3 fingers that are used to using Linux software. That to me is a pitfall in my own setup, but I use that specifically. I can open up a VM session and run Windows for those individuals if they do need to use my hardware. But even then, if something goes bad, if it just spontaneously corrupts, well, that system is down. Hence why our group is constantly drilling on use your own hardware, use whatever you can afford, whatever you can put into practice, and that's what you will have. That's what I preach, and that's what I practice with, is the hardware all the time. And very rarely do I ever try to introduce new hardware, new radios into my Aries Races setups. I don't even want to even go into emcomm right now, because that to me isn't what our group here does. We do the strict Aries, strict Races when we're called upon. I'll get into that a little bit later. But the purpose of why I'm also, again, doing this is to highlight the fact that train with what you have, don't change it as often, but keep it fresh, keep it alive, and keep your skills handy. I'll put a bit of posts about what I have, and if you do have a QRZ page, you can go on my QRZ page and see my activity and what I have done over the past several years, actually, as being ham, and starting in 2016. But I've been through a lot of hardware, and what I stick with today is the most basic of radios that does all the modes of communication that I do so require. Kind of thinking here, unscripted, if you will, too, is the that need to drill. That's another thing, is the need to practice, to drill. And not just so much on your own, going into a field, setting up an antenna and sending somebody a message and then tearing down and leaving. Not that radar challenge crap, but actually consistently getting on a structured net, like the NTS traffic system. I have messages to pass, following that strict protocol of I have a single for KD2 KUB, and allowing that directed net to conduct itself with your participation and passing message traffic and watching it distribute itself to its destination. For me, I send a message quite frequently to one of my good ham friends in Florida who used to live up here. And some cases he got it from the local, from the net, from the message delivery, and other times it was delivered through the NTS digital system down to Florida, where another ham in Florida delivered it to him, exercising two different avenues of communication. And I just started doing that recently. I started getting on the NTS traffic net, started sending messages to people, throwing the local net, a few curveballs to actually send that traffic, making it difficult, making it unnatural, since listening to a lot of the net and seeing how it was manifesting itself, there really wasn't a whole lot of traffic being sent. Until I started showing up and started throwing some curveballs out there, which is kind of funny. But just recently, I sent a radiogram down to another one of my ham buddies who actually got me started in CW, Barry, W4LSV. I sent him a season greetings through amateur radio. And I haven't heard anything back yet, so we'll see if that message even gets there. Other than that, that need to drill with other hams. And again, not just setting up in the field, but actually getting on the net, sending a message, maybe running that control and getting that verbal training in on how to articulate, how to be clear, concise, and able to display a measure of confidence in your voice when you're actually sending messages. FT8's all well and good. WinLink is all well and good. But when the need comes down to it, somebody has to pick up that microphone and be a capable person saying, hey, this is KD2KUB. I'm standing up a resource net due to a need that we have here in the county. Is there anyone out there willing to check into the resource net and provide some help? Stuff like that. Standing up a Skywarn net to get Skywarn reports. Our recent snowfall that we had here. I had 12 inches in my driveway on the northern side of where I live. Nobody ever did stand up a resource net for Skywarn reports. I didn't. I know I didn't because I was waiting for somebody else to set one up. Maybe I should have. But was I comfortable in doing so? No, I wasn't comfortable. Plus I had to take care of the kids and other stuff. So where it all comes down to the fact is convenience too. That's another big thing of ham radio and training, is the convenience piece. If you're able to do so, you do it. But if you can't, maybe leave it for somebody else. Maybe communicate to your leadership, hey, I can't stand up a net today. I was going to. Could you do so? And passing that around to maybe other membership. There may be a need there. Think of it that way too. But something unscripted, something I want to throw out there for some people to think about and throw it up on this YouTube channel and see where it goes. Again, openness about it. Openness about my thoughts. I mean, I'm not out there to pinpoint anybody or their work. A lot of their work is good. A lot of their work is great. But we also need to look at the fact that we don't need to... repeater's blaring. We don't need to be just soliciting products out there for everyone else to buy. But train with what you have more than ever. Because that's when the need is going to arise.